If you've got musical ideas bouncing around in your head, but the thought of paying for, expensive studio time just feels impossible, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to take the world of music production, which can seem super complex, and just simplify it.
Exactly. Our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're giving you a fast, clear guide to recording music at home, starting from scratch. We're skipping the textbook stuff and getting right into the tools and the steps that turn an idea into a finished song.
Okay, so let's unpack this. First up, the physical setup. I think a lot of people wonder, do I need like a soundproof bunker or something?
No, not at all. Home recording really just starts with a quiet space. It doesn't even have to be a whole room, maybe just a dedicated corner. The main goal is simple: silence. You've got to eliminate noise.
Because if a car horn gets on the recording?
It's ruined. It's there forever. You can't get it out.
So once we find a quiet spot, are there any placement tricks to make it sound better before we even plug anything in?
Absolutely. So think about sound waves, like billiard balls. When you record, sound comes out, hits a wall, and bounces right back at you. If your desk is pushed right up against the wall, that bounce back is almost instant.
And that bad.
It is, yeah. It creates something called coloration.
What does that actually mean for my music?
It means your room is basically lying to you. The bass might sound way boomier than it is, or certain notes might sound harsher. So by moving your desk just a little bit away from the walls, you give those sound waves time to scatter. You get a much more honest sound.
Okay, that makes sense. And what if you're stuck in like a really small, noisy room?
That's where absorption comes in. You can use heavy blankets, even thick rugs on the floor. They'll dampen those reflections. You don't need to buy expensive foam panels right away, just soft surfaces.
And I have to mention the one thing everyone forgets: cable clutter.
Oh, yeah. Keep those cables organized. It's not just about tripping over them, though that's important. Keeping audio cables away from power cords actually prevents electrical interference. A little hum or buzz on your recording.
Okay, so the space is ready, but it's useless if the brain of the operation can't keep up. Let's talk about the computer.
Right, the computer is the hub. It does all the hard work, so it has to be powerful. First thing is memory RAM. You need enough to run your music software without it crashing or, lagging all the time.
It's the worst feeling when you're in the middle of a perfect take and the whole thing just freezes.
Exactly. And the other thing is the processor. Speed is non-negotiable.
Why does that matter so much for music?
Because music production is all real-time math. If you add an echo effect, the computer has to do thousands of calculations instantly, so you hear it right away. A slow processor just means a slow workflow.
It's interesting. A lot of producers actually prefer laptops for the portability. But then you run into another problem: storage. These audio files are huge, right?
They're massive. And that's why you really need an external solid-state drive, an SSD. We've kind of moved past those old spinning hard drives.
Why an SSD specifically? What's the advantage?
Speed and reliability. When your software is trying to play back, say, 30 different tracks at once, it needs to access that data instantly. A slow drive will cause stuttering and errors. An SSD keeps everything running smoothly.
So the computer is powered up. Now, how do we actually get the sound from a guitar or microphone into the computer?
That is the jaw of the audio interface. Honestly, it's probably the most important piece of gear you'll buy. Think of it as the translator between the real world and the digital world.
A translator for what exactly?
It takes the analog electrical signal, the little bit of voltage from your microphone, and converts it into digital data, ones and zeros, that your computer understands. Usually just connects with a simple USB cable. Super easy.
Okay, so if I'm buying my first interface, what should I be looking for?
Inputs. Make sure it has at least two. That way you can record, for example, your voice and an acoustic guitar at the same time on two separate tracks.
I've also heard they give some kind of special power to certain mics.
Yep, that's called phantom power. Yeah. It's a little bit of electricity that it sends through the mic cable to power the more sensitive microphones. But maybe its most important job is solving the problem of latency.
Right, latency. What exactly is that, and why is the interface so much better at fixing it than my computer's built-in headphone jack?
Latency is that annoying little delay between when you play a note and when you actually hear it back in your headphones. Your computer's sound card is busy doing 100 other things. The audio interface is dedicated to just one job, so its headphone jack gives you a direct signal with virtually no delay at all. It makes performing feel natural.
That makes perfect sense. What about those knobs on the front, the gain knobs?
Critical. That's your volume control before the sound gets to the computer. You have to do a sound check. Play or sing the loudest part
Yep.
of your song and turn the gain up until the light is green or yellow, but never, ever red.
Hitting the red is clipping, right?
It's clipping,
Okay.
digital distortion. And once it's recorded that way, it's permanent. You can't fix it. The take is
Hmm.
just gone. Got it. Okay, interface is set. Let's talk about the microphones themselves. What are the main types we need to know about?
You can really break it down into two main workhorses. First, you have the dynamic mic. Think of these as the tough ones. They're great for loud sounds, like a guitar amp or a snare drum. They can handle a lot of pressure.
And what's the other type for more detailed stuff?
Exactly. That's the condenser mic. These are the ones that need that phantom power we talked about because they're way more sensitive. They're perfect for capturing all the little details in a human voice or an acoustic instrument. If you're singing, you probably want a condenser.
And you connect these with a special cable.
An XLR cable. It's the one with the 3 pins. It gives you a really clean, strong signal.
And I've heard there are two accessories that are basically mandatory when you're using a mic.
Absolutely. One, a sturdy microphone stand. If you're holding the mic, you'll record all that handling noise. And two, if you're singing, a pop filter. It's that little screen that goes in front of the mic.
And that stops the P and B sounds from popping. It stops those big bursts of air from overloading the microphone. It's a small thing that makes a huge difference.
So sound, it's clean, it's digitized. Now we need the workshop inside the computer. That brings us to the DIW, the Digital Audio Workstation.
Right. The DIW is your software. It's where you hit record, where you edit, where you mix everything together. And what makes it so powerful is that it's visual.
How does seeing the music help?
Well, your performance shows up as a waveform on the screen. This means you can edit audio just like you edit text in a document. You can literally cut and paste a chorus or zoom in and remove a tiny little cough.
And you can add instruments that you don't even own, right?
Precisely. You can add virtual instruments, a grand piano, a drum kit, a synthesizer. You just play them using a little keyboard controller, and the sound comes from inside the DIW.
And it's also where you add all the fun effects.
Yep, reverb to make it sound like you're in a big hall, or delay for those repeating echoes. A quick tip here for anyone starting out. Learn the keyboard shortcuts for your DIW. It will make you work so much faster.
Okay, so we've got the sound in and we're working on it. But how you listen back is just as important. I mean, you can't mix if you can't hear properly.
That's a super common mistake. You need an honest listening setup. Studio headphones are different from the ones you use for gaming because they have a flat sound. They don't boost the bass or anything. They show you the truth, warts and all.
And for vocals, you mentioned something about the type of headphone.
Now, for recording, you want closed-back headphones. They seal around your ear so the sound from the headphones doesn't leak out and get picked up by the microphone.
For really accurate mixing, though, people use speakers or studio monitors, and there's a specific way to set them up, isn't there?
There is. It's called the listening triangle. You and your two speakers should form a perfect equilateral triangle, and the speaker should be pointed right at your ears, at ear level. That's the sweet spot for hearing everything correctly.
And here's a safety tip that's also a mixing tip. Don't listen too loud.
Please don't. You'll protect your hearing, but also your ears get tired when you listen too loud, and you start to miss small mistakes. And always, always check your mix on other systems. Your phone earbuds, your car stereo. If it sounds good on those, you probably have a good mix.
All right, we have all the pieces. Let's walk through the actual process. Recording that first track. Where do you start?
You start with that sound check again. Before you hit record, set your level with the gain knob. Play the loudest part of the song and make sure that meter doesn't go into the red. You can always make a quiet recording louder, but you can never fix a distorted one.
Got it. And it's best to record one thing at a time, right?
For sure. Focus on one part. Get a great drum track, then a great bass track. And use a metronome or a click track from the DAW view to make sure you're playing perfectly in time.
Okay, and here's a rule I know a lot of people break. Record a clean signal. Why is it so important to add effects later?
Because it gives you flexibility. If you record your guitar with a ton of distortion on it, you're stuck with that sound forever. But if you record it clean and dry, you can experiment with 100 different effects inside the software later. Oh, and save your project all the time, like every 5 minutes.
So true. Okay, tracks are recorded. Now we move on to editing and arranging. This is the cleanup phase.
This is the cleanup phase, yeah.
Yeah.
You go in and you remove the little noises, a chair squeak, a breath before a vocal line. You can also use it to tighten up a performance, making sure everything is perfectly locked to the beat.
What if you recorded, say, 3 different vocal takes for the chorus, and you like parts of each one?
That's where you use a technique called comping. You can literally take the best first line from take one, the best second line from take three, and stitch them together into one perfect performance.
That's an amazing trick. And arranging is just about moving the song sections around.
Exactly. It's about making sure the song flows well. Does the chorus hit at the right time?
Hmm.
Is the intro too long? You just move those big blocks of audio around. And please, name your tracks. Guitar solo, lead vocal, not audio 1, audio 2, audio 3.
Ah, yes. Okay, finally, we get to mixing. This is the art of balancing everything together so it sounds like a real song.
This is where the magic happens, and it starts with volume and something called panning.
What does panning do?
Panning is placing sounds in the left or right speaker. It creates space. So maybe the lead vocal is right in the center, but you pan one guitar slightly to the left and a keyboard slightly to the right. It makes the mix sound wide and clear.
Then there's EQ, equalization. That sounds really technical.
It's simpler than it sounds. Think of it like a sculptor for sound. Every instrument has good frequencies and bad frequencies. If your acoustic guitar sounds a bit muddy, you use an EQ to carve out those muddy frequencies and maybe boost the sparkly, clear ones.
And the last big mixing tool is compression. This one seems to confuse everybody.
It does, but here's the easy way to think about it. Compression is basically an automatic volume knob. If a singer gets really quiet, the compressor turns them up. If they suddenly get really loud, the compressor turns them down.
So it just evens everything out.
Precisely. It makes the volume consistent so it's easier for the listener. The whole goal of mixing is clarity. You want to be able to hear every instrument clearly. Don't just add effects for the sake of it, only do what serves the song.
The mix sounds perfect. The last step is just getting it out into the world, right? Exporting it.
Yep. And you have two main file types to know. WAV files are the huge, high-quality, full-resolution files. That's your master copy. MP3 files are much smaller, which is great for sharing online, but they do lose a little bit of sound quality in the process.
So you always want to keep a backup of that WAV file.
Always. And after you export, listen to the final file from start to finish, just to make sure no weird glitches happened. But you can upload it and listen to feedback. It's how you get better.
I think the most important thing we can say is that you don't need all the most expensive gear right away.
Not at all. Start simple. Learn the tools you have. Consistent practice and good ideas will always be more important than having the latest gadget. The skill is what matters, not the price tag on the hardware.
Understanding these steps, from the quiet room to the final mix, is your shortcut to making great sounding music at home. Good luck starting your journey.
Happy recording.
See you next time.